Here we go, guys. This is me riding the Yamaha MT-03. Boy, boy, was I happy riding this bike. You know what? The story is this is basically a rental motorcycle from Royal Brothers. And initially, I had thought of going for the Royal Enfield Classic 350. When I went there, I saw that bike. It was badly damaged. It was, I think, it had been through multiple accidents. Everything was bent, including the number plate. And the foot pegs were not in place. The mudguard was gone, and etc. So I saw that, and I just told that guy, the attender there, so what the heck, man? I'm paying for a proper motorcycle, and you give me a damaged piece. I can't do this. Then, apparently, to my surprise, I could actually choose another bike. And then, what came through is there was this motorcycle available, the MT-15 Yamaha. So it was a decision I took in a flash. I said, okay, fine, let me go with it. And thankfully, this bike, I think it's on an expensive side to rent. Because of that, there has been less usage. It's run around 4,000 kilometers only. And thanks to the higher pricing, less people have ridden it. And then, thankfully, it hasn't been through any much damage. And most of the riding has been probably done by motorcycle enthusiasts. So the bike has been maintained fine, for all I know. So yeah, so I got this bike, and I went to fill it up with the petrol, and then I found that I got the air checked, and the air was around 8 or 9 psi at the rear wheel, and same case in the front. So then, thankfully, the petrol bunk itself had a puncture shop. Actually, the guys who were checking the air themselves had these puncture fixing prongs and what do you call that? You get that particular patch, right? The long, lengthy patch, yeah. So the twig, basically, the puncture twig. So there were around 3 punches at the rear tire, and that was fixed. And then I started my journey. Now, thing is, this bike initially when I started riding it, I could feel the one thing I noticed is that my legs were rear set and a bit too compressed, in the sense I was sitting low. Okay, and of course the best part is that the seat height is below 800 and then I could easily flat foot on the bike. I mean, whenever there was a parking situation or a traffic signal situation, I was able to do that. That is one thing I noticed. And then when it came to the sound, I felt happy to hear a twin cylinder sound. Initially, I thought it was single cylinder because I had not done any homework on this bike, I thought it was a single cylinder, but it didn't sound like a single cylinder. It was like, it was good. It had a bit of that symphony, Then eventually, then I thought, yes, of course. When I looked it up, it is a twin cylinder, no doubt, because it's sweet, man. This engine sounds sweet. There's no doubt about it. Okay? And then I continued further, and then I was very happy with this choice after riding it for just about 5 minutes, because this is a well-made product from Yamaha, and moreover, if I may tell you, I later on found out that this is a CBU, completely built unit, made in Indonesia unit. Okay, and for that reason, what you see on the speedometer right now, it shows 40 miles per hour, not kilometers. You can in fact switch it over to kmph too by the flick of a button, but I didn't know how to do it that time because I was busy riding and going to meet my friends, etc. However, I found the sweet spot of this bike. One is various machines or various engines have the sweet spots. So this particular bike has a sweet spot of around 60 miles per hour. That is basically 95 to 100 kilometers per hour. That is a sweet spot. and it will sit in that number all day long as the fuel is there in the tank. That's it. That's the way it goes. Okay, and when it comes to curvy roads, the sweet spot is around 80 to 90, and that is that. The chassis, what can I say? It is like one complete total unit. There is no torsional, let's say, I mean, the rigidity is so great that it totally feels like a single ball that is rolling forward. That is how it feels. The torsional rigidity is excellent in this, all thanks to the chassis and handling. So you look, I've even ridden the Interceptor 650. Okay, that's a 650cc motorcycle, but never felt as confident as I felt on this bike. The confidence inspired by this design of this chassis is amazing. Okay, it is Yamaha. What can I say? What more can I say about it? Okay, so that's one thing. Now let me talk about the engine and its performance. Like I said, I love the twin cylinder Symphony. It's very pleasant to hear. Now, once you open the throttle, there is a sudden, it's like a switch that switches on. The switch that switches on the fueling, and it is constant from there. And the torque is like a wall. It is like an established wall, and there is nothing below it. You close the throttle, and it switches off. Okay, and of course, it'll just slide through and then come to a halt. But once you switch on the throttle, it's like nobody can stop me now kind of a feeling that I got. And then you twist your throttle further. When you twist your throttle further, what happens is an invisible wall comes behind you from somewhere. Okay, from behind you, of course. It comes to you and it starts pushing you forward. A huge wall, that is. It's like a huge wall that starts pushing you forward. That is how locomotive this torque feels like. My goodness. It's been around 20 days since I've rode this bike. I still cannot forget that feeling. That is how it felt. You open the throttle, a switch turns on, and that switch is basically for a wall, huge invisible wall. Maybe the wall is around 50 by 60 feet in area, for all I care. And it comes behind your back and it starts pushing you. That's how it goes. No stopping. Yeah, that's how confident you feel in this. And then I get an innate feeling, if I might tell you, I get an innate feeling that, see, this motorcycle was showing some oil change light on there. I don't know, maybe they didn't know how to reset that or whatever. But end of the day, I feel if you just change the oil on this particular engine, this engine should last not less than 3 lakh kilometers. 3 lakh kilometers on the Odo. I think that is how well made this engine is, and that's the kind of feeling I got. Look, I'm just talking about feeling, okay? I'm not technical and whatnot, okay? I'm just talking about how I felt when the engine was running. That is how nice it was. And this engine also does justice to whatever petrol is fed to it. Okay, let's say for example 1 liter of petrol is fed to this bike. I feel this bike does 100% justice to that petrol compared to let us say a classic 350 or some other inefficient or stupid engine. Let's say all fart no go kind of engines. Which are those? There were I don't know. I can't. I don't want to step on toes here. But maybe TVS engines or some other vehicles that make a lot of noise and then there is no go. So compare that to this. I think it makes perfect use of the fuel, that is petrol, in converting it into the torque that you experience when you ride the bike. This is how much of a fan I became of this particular bike. And the stability, what can I say? It is so damn stable. It almost felt like I was riding a locomotive. Okay, the Indian Railways locomotive, diesel locomotives that pull the train. Right? That is how stable it was. In spite of this being a street fighter kind of a motorcycle, it just simply felt stable, man. And also, it also felt like even if you drop the bike somewhere, the fork and the handlebar would take that kind of a, let's say, abuse and still remain stable. That is how I felt. Thankfully, nobody had dropped it, and neither did I. But I think this is how well made this bike is. If I have to comment on its stability that way. Now let's talk about the seat. Seat was a short and a small one, but thankfully it was well padded. And the kind of kilometers I covered, I think I covered around 230 or 240 kilometers during my rental period. That was most of it was done in a single day. That is, and I hardly felt any strain on my back. I never felt like changing my bum cheeks from one side to another or anything. So it felt good. There was no problem whatsoever. Okay, so comfort wise it was fine, and in a way, if I might tell you, the seating position, although is a little bit of a forward position, not very neutral and upright, I enjoyed it. The way you hug the tank, because the tank is huge. It's like a huge kind of a cauldron, in front of your stomach. Okay, and then your legs hug it perfectly. The contours of the sides of the side contours of this tank are so perfectly made. I mean, it's for me, for my frame. The way I hugged the tank was perfect, perfect. So I could literally make use of um, whatever you do on a racetrack. That is, make use of your thighs and legs to control, grip the tank, and then release your elbows and release the pressure from your elbows and arms, etc. So those kind of things could be easily done. It's comfortable riding position, as I've already mentioned, and you can chug along, and chug along. Okay, so this has a huge effect on fatigue levels. If I may tell you, when you have a torquey, perfectly healthy healthy and a torquey engine, you feel less strain on yourself. I mean, that is what my experience has been so far. If there is an engine that is straining too much, it somewhat translates that strain to yourself also, and you tend to feel tired more than usual, or tend to feel fatigued more than usual. And this bike is the other way around, because the engine is so relaxed and torquey. You just feel like, you're keeping the bike well within its capabilities, and it's happy and you're happy. It's basically like your bike is happy, you're happy. Okay, that concept, that psychological concept comes into picture when riding this bike. So I heard that this is a CBU unit, as I already mentioned before, and also that the fact that it is a very expensive bike in India, thanks to all the taxes put on it because of the import, close to 4.5 to 5 lakhs, I guess. But then once you buy it, I don't think you'll regret it. I wish I had that money to spend on a motorcycle, and I would have probably done that. But it's still to be seen. Only problem is, the thing is, I went in early in the morning, and then I had a lot of wind blast. Since you guys who've been following my channel also know that I'm a stickler for wind protection. Lately, thanks to my Ola S1 Pro, I've been riding without windshields, and then I'm kind of liking the wind gushing through. That is below the speeds of 100 kmph, of course, and then not having to deal with the buffeting of the imperfect wind protection systems that we can get our hands on here in our country for now. But then that's the only thing I found was a downside. In this bike, being having no wind protection whatsoever, and especially if the wind, if the temperatures are low, the wind chill factor really hits you. Okay, so it hits you so bad that you start shivering when you're riding. So that's what I experienced because it's a January morning, and then of course it is expected. For that reason, I continued cruising at 40 miles per hour for quite a distance. But then later on, once it got hot, I started catching up to speeds of 60 and remaining there. Because as I told you, you can remain at 60 all day long as there's fuel in the tank. And there is no stopping this engine. So these are my impressions of riding, and mind you, I mean. These are I paid for this bike, and no, Yamaha did not sponsor it or whatever. Okay, this is how I felt after riding this bike. It's an excellent product, no doubt about it. And one thing that's remaining right now is for me to check out the R3 in the same platform. I think it is a little bit more aggressive than this Street Fighter. So, but it has some sort of a wind protection. That is my next experiment that's going to be on, and I want to see if that really helps. The windshield or the visor on a sports bike really does help or not. That is one thing to be found out for now. That is one pending experiment, and then yeah, when it comes to the neck pain, I would like to conclude with this. I think 95% fine, just 5% there was a little bit slight neck pain that came in, because this is what I've been suffering from for the past 2 years since my return from the run of Kutch ride on my KTM Adventure 390. But that's that. My helmet right now weighs 1.5 kilograms only compared to the 2.2 kgs SMK modular earlier. So all those factors also add on to it. So I didn't really feel that fatigued with a neck problem on this bike. Like I said, maybe it was creeping in slightly, and it would have increased if I had gone for a longer ride. I don't know, but my initial impressions were pretty good. So the thing is, see, look, another thing that adds on to this point is that there is a distance between point A and B. Let's consider that 100 kilometers. Okay. Now you sit on a slow bike which can only do 60, 70, 80, and also even maybe 90, screaming at its weight sign. Then there is this bike, for example, let's take the MT-03 itself, which can sit at 100 all day long. I feel that you will cover the distance of 0 to 100 faster, and less fatigue compared to the other motorcycle with less torque and less sweet spot cruising speed. And as a result, avoid